everybody wants that thing that's going to change their life, right? And they have this like, and not bashing any gurus or anybody who's got a course or any of that stuff, not bashing you. But I think what people tend to sell is the idea of success. They sell this idea of get rich quick through real estate. And it's just not that way.
If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you smash that like button and click subscribe. For those of you listening on a podcast platform, be sure to subscribe on whatever platform that is and leave us a rating if you can. The more likes, ratings, and subscriptions that we get, the more we can spread the message and grow our community. So we also have a free Facebook group. It's called the Average Joe Finances Network. Check us out, join the group, join the community, ask questions, and become a part of the team. All of our other social media accounts are listed in our flow page, and we have them in the video or podcast description below.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? So today our guest is Amy Farrow, and Amy's a real estate attorney, investor, broker, and title company owner. As a board lawyer, she obtained her commercial pilot's license, left her law firm, and worked for the FBI, began buying rental properties, and had her first child. Woo! All right. In 2001, she began flipping houses. And in 2006, after another child, she began working in real estate full time. So Amy, wow. So from being an attorney to a pilot, just flying around, and then the FBI, really? So This is pretty exciting. I'd love to dive into this. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for having me. And you make it sound so cool. I don't feel nearly that cool.
It's super cool. It's absolutely super cool. So first things first, I'd like to get a little bit more about your background besides what I just explained. Can you dive in a little bit and just share your story with us?
Sure. I come to real estate really differently. And so my background was, I started off as a lawyer in all the way back in 1996 is when I graduated. And I thought, I'm pretty cool now. I know everything, right? And, wrong. But so as a new lawyer, I didn't really know anything. And a lot of my clients taught me a lot about the law and real estate and other things. And really, the pilot thing was, I was super afraid of flying. And in fact, one of your comrades, actually, a Marine instructor, I don't know what he instructed, but he recognized that I was really afraid. So he took me up on my first flight, and I was kind of hooked from there. So that's actually how I went into the FBI. I went in as a pilot, actually, not as a lawyer. And so I have a weird route that my life kind of took and kind of twists and turns all over the place. But my heart has always been in real estate. And I think that going into the FBI was just one of those weird kind of experiences. I had a friend who I went to law school with, and his whole purpose of going to law school was to go into federal law enforcement. He wanted to be in the FBI or the Marshals or something like that. And I just went to visit him one day, and I was explaining to him, I'm really bored as a lawyer. I just don't think this is what my life was meant to be. And practicing law is just, it's super boring. And no offense to the lawyers out there that are doing this job. I can't sit behind a desk that much. And it kind of drove me nuts. Anyway, I went down to visit him, and next thing I know, I'm getting recruited, for the FBI. And I thought, well, why not? I don't have any kids. I'm not super happy, where I'm at. And so I was lucky enough to spend 5 years on a violent crimes task force in Oklahoma City. And like you said, then I had a baby, and life changes. And so there was another turn, and I went back thinking, well, I guess I got to practice law again because I'm a mom now, and I can't do any of that cool stuff anymore. I shouldn't probably be flying. I probably should just be a mom. And a friend of mine said, "Hey, I'm flipping this house. Do you want to come and help me?" And I was like, "What's flipping a house? What are you talking about?" And that's how I learned about flipping houses. I just started doing it one day, and next thing you know, it's 10 years later, I'm still doing it, and 2 more kids later, and here I am.
What a way, like you kind of bounced around, and
I did.
And then the way you got into real estate. But I want to rewind back to what you were talking about with when you first went flying, how you said you were afraid to fly and everything.
Oh yeah.
I got to tell you, I'm terrified of heights. I always have been. Every time I get in a plane, I can't stand it. But for the first time last October, I flew a plane. A buddy of mine who's also a real estate investor was like, "Hey, you want to come flying with me on Sunday?" And I'm like, "No, yes." so I, went with him, and we were flying. He took us up, and he's like, "Hey, take the controls." And I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
So and then he told me, he was instructing me how to do it, and it was surprisingly not terrible. Yeah. And I felt a lot better when I had the controls in my hand. So that was one thing. Also very, very nervous when I had the controls in my hand. But yeah, okay, that's fantastic. So what did you fly in the FBI?
I flew a little bit of everything. So a lot of their airplanes come out of the East Coast. And so there was a lot of flying back and forth. But in Oklahoma City, the Federal Transfer Center is there right on the airport, which means anytime you're arrested and you end up in the federal system, you end up in Oklahoma City. And then they send you out whatever direction you're going from there. And so we did a lot of transport of people who couldn't go on commercial flights. And for whatever reason, usually it was because they were a pain in the butt. But yeah, that's actually how I started flying. I was scared to death. I literally was the one in the bar 2 hours before the flight because I was so scared to get on the plane that I just figured, a couple drinks in, I'll be better, right? And you'll love this. The way that I learned is funny. This was another lawyer who had been in service, and I think he was in the Marines. And he was a lawyer on the opposite side of a case from me. And I was sitting there while we were waiting for the judge one day, and we were just talking, shooting the breeze. And I was saying, I'm going to Jamaica in 2 weeks. And, I don't know how I'm going to get on that plane. And he started asking me questions about it. And he said, I tell you what, if you win today, you have to take me to lunch, and you have to go up in a plane with me if you win today. And I said, well, what do I have to do if I lose? Because I did not want to go on an airplane. He's like, well, you're going to take me to lunch, and then you're going to go on an airplane. And I said, wait a minute here. That's not right. Either way, I end up on an airplane. I don't want to do that. And sure enough, I won, and I had to go up on an airplane. And I'll tell you, I was super afraid, kind of like you. I was super afraid. And we went up in a little Cessna 152, and we got barely up 2,000 feet. And he goes, okay, the airplane's yours. And I went, wait, what? I don't even know what you're talking about. But I really fell in love with it. And it was really fun to pursue. And I would say get back up again as soon as you can.
Nice.
You'll get the bug.
Yeah. So it was, his plane was like a competitor to Cessna. It was a Warrior. But I can tell you, like, what in those little planes, like, you feel every little bit of turbulence or air pockets or anything. Like, you feel everything. It is not like being in a large commercial airplane where you feel turbulence and you're like, ooh, no, it's
this is very, very different. But.
You move. So it was absolutely fun though. And flying over Hawaii was absolutely breathtaking. I had my GoPro up there just getting some awesome videos and stuff. So that was wicked cool.
I'm jealous. That would have been so awesome.
Well, if you ever visit out here, we got a little airport out here. You can probably see if you can get up in one of the aircraft there with one of the people that own a private plane and
don't say that. My husband will be like, don't let her go. Don't let her go. She'll end up in a plane and she'll never come back.
Awesome. Okay. So let's fast forward to where we're at now, right? So you did, you were a lawyer at first, then you flew commercial airplanes, and you flew them for the FBI. And then after that, you began buying rental properties and flipping properties, right? So, so you're doing both, right? You're flipping properties and you're also holding some to rent. Is that right?
Yeah, mostly in the beginning, we did a lot of flippings because between 2002 and about 2006 was just the high time. And we were paint, carpet, throw it back out right away. So much so that nothing was electronic. So I used to have to run to the courthouse, dig through piles of stuff to find when we bought it, and so that we could sell it again. And it was really crazy. It was really crazy. And then, thinking I was, hot stuff here because we had moved so many houses and done so much during the time when it was really easy. I started building houses. Oh, and wow. So I have a very dubious honor. I had friends who in 2006 and 2007 started losing whole subdivisions. I left a closing in late 2007 for the last house that I built with $1,500 in a check. And I was winning, man. I won that thing because the market just changed. And, in looking back at it now, you could see it start to change at the end of 2005 and into 2006. And so by the time they say it crashed in 2007 and 2008, it really had been coming for some time. And so, looking backwards, but I still have that check. I actually went to the bank after I cashed it and got the actual canceled check back, and I frame it and I have it. I don't have it in my office here, but I have it at home just to remind me not to be not to be arrogant anymore about my skills. So
keeping it humble for sure.
Oh, you have to. This market will humble you if you don't if you get out of control. So I'm writing notes right as we talk, and so one of the things I was writing down is the things you're doing. So you were flipping, you've got rental properties, and even development with building houses. So you're hitting all the spectrums here of real estate. So I can hit you with creative finance too, because after the market crashed, there wasn't anything to do. Nobody could get any money. So we were doing a whole lot of lease options and. Oh, so
were you doing like private money lending and stuff?
Yeah. Yeah. We were doing a lot of that. So that's one of the things that as I look at this and I have this 20-year history of stuff, it's why I wanted to come on, and speak with you and kind of talk, because there's no way to really effectively give back all this knowledge that's sort of sitting in here, and I'm not one of those that, really wants to get out there selling stuff and do that. And so I like to speak and I like to talk about this so that people can kind of see that it's always an evolution. Like the market is just a continuous evolution. And so no matter what happens as an investor, you just pivot and you just pivot and move on. And so when people start to get upset about this market and how hot it is and how, it's what's coming. And my response is, don't worry about it. You have zero control over it. So just be ready to pivot and do something else than what you're doing right now. And I would love to say that I did it really well, but I did it out of necessity. And but you're also saying, you need to adjust, right? You can't keep doing the same thing over and over again as the market shifts, because it's not going to work out for you if you do that. Right. So I think this is the time to really get educated about, being able to do some other things and let everybody else worry about what they're doing and just look at what you're doing and how you're going to run, your real estate business or whatever it is. If it's not a full-time business for you yet, then, if this is your side hustle or, whatever you're doing, or you're just getting into it and you're starting to learn and you don't know what to do, I would just get educated about multiple exit strategies and start to just think about doing things a little bit different. So speaking about just getting into real estate, right? So one of the things I ask all the guests that come on is to, provide a list of topics that you'd like to discuss. And one of the things that you told me is, and I really like this one, is why newbies get sold the sizzle and not the steak. So I want to talk about that a little bit. So what does that mean? Well, I think everybody wants that thing that's going to change their life, right? And they have this and not bashing any gurus or anybody who's got a course or any of that stuff, not bashing you. But I think what people tend to sell is the idea of success. They sell this idea of get rich quick through real estate. And it's just not that way. I mean, there's people, I suppose, that, borrow millions and millions of dollars and buy all of that, but I'd like to see them in 10 years. I'd like to see what happens to that. And so I think that's the sizzle that everybody looks for. They look for this quick hit where they can make money fast, but they don't realize that this, in order to make this a business, you have to look for where the steak is. Where's the meat of real estate? What goes beyond the make money fast and have longevity instead? And so I think I would love to say that that was my quote, but the very first person I ever talked to about real estate was a farmer. He just was a farmer in Wisconsin, drove this dilapidated truck, and he came into our law firm and needed some help. And he said, don't sell me the sizzle, sell me the steak. Don't tell me what the end result is going to be. Tell me how I get there. And and he just taught me so much about life and people, and not to judge someone, by their cover. And so, yeah, it's not my quote, but it really does fit right now.
Yeah, no, I really like that. And there are some really legit courses out there. But Absolutely. I know exactly what you're talking about. Like you see it all the time. Especially and a lot of times outside of real estate too, like you get the big ones with like, hey, take my course on Amazon this, or right. Affiliate marketing that. And yeah, can you make money with that stuff? Sure, absolutely. But when you're looking at what some of these guys are showing you, and they show you like the lifestyle, the dream, and everything like that, you're not going to be at that same level right away. No matter what you do, it's going to take the hustle and it's going to take the work. So the course might be the start, might get you there, but if you don't put in the effort afterwards, and this is what they don't tell you, right? If you don't put in the effort, you're not going to get there. So you can't just take a course and magically you're going to be a real estate investor and go out there and crush it. That's not how it works. It's that effort that you're going to put in yourself, and the work that you're going to put in, right? So, and again, like I said, I've seen some great courses out there. I've seen some less than stellar ones. So I know exactly what you're talking about. But I'm not going to say any names or anything like that, because it's, yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
awesome.
I don't think it's worth either saying names, Mike, but I mean, there are some good courses, and I will tell you in full, transparency, I buy courses all the time still, because somewhere in there might be this little nugget that I can use to bring into what I'm doing. And so that's why I say I never bash anybody's course. Absolutely. First of all, I probably haven't seen it, so I'm not going to talk about it. If I have seen it, I'll tell you what I liked about it and what I didn't like. But I think you're absolutely right. Like this appearance that they show of this success, leaning on cars and checks and all this other stuff. That's great, but you really have to look behind it to see what's really going on.
It's funny that you said that. So I sold a property. So I sold my duplex that I had back in Chesapeake, Virginia earlier this year. Instead of the physical check, I wanted to have them wire me the money. So they wired me the money, and I took a screenshot of it, and I was like, because I see everybody else do, I just sold this property. Look what and I took a screenshot of it, and I was getting ready to post it on social media and be like, hey, look at and then I stopped myself, and I'm like, wait, no, I'm not going to do that crap. Like I'm not going to sit here and just and because there's so much more that goes into it when you take out all the costs and the expenses that it took and what you put into the property. Taxes. Trying to tell somebody that, oh, hey, look, I just made, $57,000 selling this property, when realistically, okay, I put $25,000 into it. I had to pay closing costs, everything like really, I was walking away with like 12K. So that's a big difference. And people don't want to hear that. Right. So I was like, I'm not even going to bother with this. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. But I still have that screenshot saved on my phone. And that's another thing that, similar to your check that you framed, like, I'm holding on to that to remind me, like, don't go out there and just like overhype things or things like that, because you don't want to send the wrong message. Right. And that's the one thing I don't want to do on, with my show and my brand, is overhype something. Because a lot of people do that. Like they overhype things. And I want people to go into, if you're going to go into real estate investing, do it safely, do it the right way. Don't go all in where, if things get messed up, you're left with nothing. So, I agree. Yeah. So, I'm really happy to hear your mindset on that. So I'm very, happy that we have a similar mindset when it comes to that. So that's really cool. So, another thing that you sent me, another topic, was how somebody can go from one deal to many, right? and also like, treating real estate like a hobby or a business. So like, what's the difference between treating it as a hobby and treating it as a business?
Let's take a brief moment to hear from our show sponsors. What's going on, everybody? So today I want to talk to you about the podcast editing service that we use for the Average Joe Finances podcast. That is editpods.com. And what I really like about them is it's a subscription-based service, so the prices are fantastic. And not only do they do the podcast episodes for us, but they also make us videos, audiograms, social media caption videos. They do our show notes, thumbnails. It's just fantastic products. Go check them out at editpods.com. What's going on, Average Joes? We know that managing one account or your entire family's portfolio can be stressful and time-consuming. From building and maintaining spreadsheets, calculating how many new shares and units you need to purchase with your contributions, finding the time to log into your brokerage and make those trades, and annually rebalancing each account. Well, my friends over at Passive came up with a tool that can help you manage all of this in a fraction of time without spreadsheets and manual calculations. Passive is a portfolio management tool that makes it easier for DIY investors to maintain a balanced portfolio and build a passive investment strategy at their online broker. It eliminates the need to use spreadsheets, saves you from having to log into your broker to place trades, and helps you stick to your portfolio's target allocation. Elite users can save even more time by using the one-click trades feature and having Passive execute the required trades on your behalf. All of this can be done from the Passive dashboard for all of your accounts. No more logging in to multiple brokerage accounts. Passive is not a robo-advisor. It won't tell you what you should invest in, so you'll need to decide that for yourself, either through self-education or alongside a financial advisor. To learn more about Passive or to sign up, check out our link below, www.averagejoefinances.com/passive. That's PASSIV with no E. Again, PASSIV with no E. Check them out. Let's get back to today's episode.
I think I started out treating it like a hobby because I was practicing law and I was being a mom. And so at first it seemed to me like, oh, this is really fun. This is really cool. It's not my job.
Right.
So this is great. And so, it was easy to get one deal here and one deal there. But when I decided to do this full time, I really had to structure myself and go, all right, now we have to treat this like a business. We need to set it up with clear expectations, and we have to hire people, and we have to move through the real estate process and kind of document how we're doing it. And so I think that when people decide to jump into real estate and do it full time, a lot of the times what they do is they just they jump in and then they start swimming around and they see, oh, wait a minute, this is really harder than I thought it was going to be. And so, and I tell people all the time, I hired someone to help me make this a business. And I continuously hire business coaches to help me, because I think when you're in it as a business and you're doing it full time, you can lose sight of why you started doing it in the first place. And for me, I started doing it because it was fun and my job sucked. And I think that resonates with people because maybe their job sucks and that's why they're looking at real estate. But I have a general passion for it. I think I have ADD because every deal is different. And so somehow that satisfies my puzzle piece, mentality. I don't know. At least that's
like variety.
I like variety. I like it to be different every time, but it follows the same principles every time. You have to focus on helping people. And I know that's so cliche to say, but so I'm going to say it anyway, because this is how I structured it. I went, okay, how can I help more people and have it result in more deals for me and therefore more income? And so I went at it maybe backwards from where a lot of people kind of start. And I said, okay, I can help 1 or 2 people, or I can help 10 people this month. How do I do that? And so I think it's just in processes and procedures, just like any other business, a franchise or like whatever. I've just sort of modeled it by that. I'm a big EOS believer. And, we follow those things and we hold people to their KPIs and we hold, I don't talk to many sellers anymore just because I have lots of other stuff to do now in this business and you can't wear all the hats. But if you start off doing one deal and you understand how the deal structure works and you understand how you go from lead generation to a closing, and then it's just, okay, what do I have to do to make this a system that I'm going to follow every time so that I can do more than just one or two?
Yeah. And one of the things I wrote down here, and I really like that you brought this up, is, your focus on people and how can I help more people? And that is, I was actually interviewing somebody yesterday too. And, one of the things that they were talking about is helping the residents in their apartment complex that they bought and, just giving them a better quality of life. And a lot of times people don't look at real estate investors in that type of lens where, they're actually out there trying to help people. A lot of people look at real estate investors and say, oh, they're just money hungry slumlords or whatever. Right. And yeah, there's definitely investors out there that are like that. However, I feel like I really, I'm a screen really well for people that come on the show, because everyone that I brought on the show has been absolutely amazing. And, including you, Amy, like it's just really humbling to know that there is some wholesome people out there really trying to help others while they're investing. Like you can do both. You can do both. You can invest in real estate and you can help society and help other people as well. So I think that's a really important message that needs to get out there for sure.
Right. And I'm going to mangle this quote, but this is how I look at it, even with people that I hire and, people that come into our team and work with us. Is Zig Ziglar said, and I'm going to mangle it, sorry, but if you help as many people as you can, that will get you what you want in life. And so I'm sorry, Mr. Ziglar, I mangled it, but that's the biggest thing, is that if you don't start from that, people won't want to work with you. And so it'll be hard to keep people, employed with you. And it shows to the people that you're dealing with when when they call crying because if it doesn't close in 3 days, they're going to be homeless. You can't just sit there and go, well, sorry, it can't close in 3 days. You have to hustle and figure out how to do it in a day so that this person doesn't become homeless. And, I'll say that to people all the time on the phone. I'm like, well, look, she's trying to help you. We're trying to help you, but we're not in the business of making people homeless. So where are you going to go if we can solve this problem for you? And I just think more investors would be better off if they started from this proposition, and they'd probably be more successful because people can sense when you're not being true. And I think that's what's kind of made me successful, because I sort of learned psychology the hard way. When you arrest someone, even someone who's put up a fight and the rest of it, they turn into a different person. And you have to switch gears very quickly from the person that is, bringing them in, out of their situation. And now you have to be kind of a counselor. And so I always thought, when I got my degree, it said attorney and counselor. And so that's kind of how I've looked at this. And so I guess now my profession went from just navigating people through a bad process to, identifying the people that need help first and then helping them navigate, through a bad process.
Right. Yeah. I love that. That's awesome. Okay. So I want to get back onto the real estate topic, because we're getting all in the emotions right now. I'm tearing up a little
Philosophical.
bit. No, it's all good. So, okay. Now, one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about is, having a wide view of real estate and how to be flexible in your exit strategies, right? So, I know that you've been doing this for almost 20 years now, right? Well, yeah. So 2001, so almost 20 years.
Yeah.
So what strategies have you taken to just be profitable and successful?
Well, processes and procedures are the big thing, and budgeting and making sure that you stick with that. And then bringing good people onto our team was a big part of that. And they have to share that belief system that we're talking about here. But being able to pivot right now, even in a good market, means that we find the solution that's best for the person. So the exit strategy is driven by really what's best for them. And it doesn't mean what they believe is best for them sometimes, what's actually is best for them. So because we have a brokerage as well, we're able to, just like you're an agent as well. So we're able to pivot and say, you know what, I can give you a cash offer, but right now, let's put it on the market. Let's do a quick 30 days on the market. If it doesn't sell, you have your answer. You can take our cash offer. So either way, I'm controlling the deal, and I'm going to get money out of it either way. But at this point, they might be able to get more money if we put it on the market. And so just being able to pivot and understand that, yeah, they might have taken my cash offer and that would have been great for me, but not so great for them in the long run. And so sometimes that works. We put it on the market and it sells and everybody's happy, but sometimes it doesn't. And that cash offer is still sitting there. And for them, that's like a life vest. Like, hey, if this doesn't work, she's going to help me this way instead. So that's one example of pivoting. But we've also got people who right now are panicking a lot about capital gains because taxes are going to change here, and I'm not going to get political or anything. It's not necessary. But if capital gains tax changes, you're going to see a lot of people that don't want to sell anymore, that have to sell. And so the natural pivot there is to talk to them about creative finance or 1031 exchanges, or, just be able to understand that there are other exits there than just a cash offer and you wholesale it or you add it to your portfolio or whichever. You have to be able to look at those things and go, hey, I don't know what a 1031 exchange is, but I know it's for people who don't want to pay capital gains. So let me call and let's figure this out. That's really all you need. You don't have to understand the tax code and understand how this all works. And there's other people that can do that for you, but you just have to recognize that what is best for them may not be exactly what you want to do at that moment, but just pivot and know enough about the other strategies that you can identify, this is the best solution here. I don't know how to do it, but I'll find someone that will.
Yeah, I like that. Just pivot. And being able, it's all about like your flexibility, right? And being able to, see the situation that's coming up and, like you said, pivot into the right direction. And I think, the big thing is having multiple exit strategies, not just, here's my goals. I want to, buy this property, flip it, turn around, sell it in 3 months. And, what if you can't? What if the market takes a total shift? Now, what are you going to do? Can you hold it as a rental property? Like what are the different things you can do? So that's really great. With so you've been investing in real estate for 20 years now, right? So what about like your law firm? So do you still operate the law firm? And if so, how are you doing that, running your investment company and your brokerage firm? And then you also have a title company too, right? So how are you doing all this at once?
I do. Well, I have very, very good people that work with me. And that's why when I say processes and procedures, there's no way that I could run the investment company, the brokerage firm, the title company, and the law firm. And so I have an attorney that runs the law firm for me. I have 3 title women that run the title company for me that do a great job. And the brokerage firm is run by one of the agents, but we're not a huge brokerage firm. There's just 5 of us. And then the investment company, I have a lot of virtual people that work for us. And then I do have 3 acquisition people and a disposition person. And so I really just oversee. And so when I say that I'm watching KPIs, that's what I'm watching. I'm watching to see where problems develop, and then I go to that problem. And so, they laugh and basically my assistant gave me this the other day, and it's going to probably be backwards for you, but it says chaos coordinator. And I sat that on my desk, and I'm very proud of that because it really isn't chaos. But when you look at it from the outside, I could see people are like, does she sleep? Like, what does she do? And I have a lot of really, really great help, but I couldn't do it without building those systems and building those ways that I can track what's happening in the business. And then I'm not an absentee owner. I go where the problem is. And sometimes I'm on the phone with sellers, because someone's struggling in the acquisition department, or I'm talking to buyers because the disposition person she's struggling and she wants to get this done. And there's a title mess and something has to be filled. So it fits me perfectly because I like jumping around in all of this. But I'm sure sometimes they like to tell me to go home. Amy, we got it. We're good. And I don't always believe it. So I am here, but it lets me feel like I'm still really involved in the day-to-day of it because I really am. I'm here. I'm in the office. And there's people here today that are working that when I walked in, they were like, uh-oh, am I in trouble? I'm like, no. Why would you say you're in trouble? Well, you're here. It's a Saturday. I'm here. It's a Saturday. It's not that unusual. But I never want people to think that this was like an overnight thing. This took years and years and years to put together of basically learning how to be a leader rather than the person who's doing the work. And so that's when I say, like, I've made all of the mistakes that can be made, and I've hired people to help me to do this and business coaches, and I still do, to this day. So it's not the Amy show at all. I'm just the dummy who has to write the checks at the end of the month, and so that's kind of how I look at it. But it does take a lot of work to be able to get the systems and processes and the people in place that fit I call it the weird culture that we have, because, I'll just come in and start jumping into stuff and people will be like, eek, but I really, really love it. And I love the fact that this has come together, but I'd be lying to you, Mike, if I said it's perfect. It's not, but it's a work in process that we're really happy doing.
Yeah, no, I love that. Yeah. And nothing's perfect, right? It never is,
No.
but you put in the effort and the work to get it as close to it as you can possibly get it. And that's
Right.
what matters. And, one of the key things that you've kind of been talking about over and over again throughout this whole interview is, building your team and talking about the people that are involved, right? So, you're not afraid to outsource work when the right time comes. And you can't sit there and say that you can do it all yourself. I mean, sure, there's people out there that'll do it all themselves, but they're not as, I guess, large or they're not managing as many assets as you are, right? So as you grow, you need to know when it's time to start, shedding off some of those duties and responsibilities, and you have to know when it's time to ask for help, right?
Oh yeah.
You can't get that big in this game by yourself. It's just not going to happen. Building a team is super important.
And it's hard to let stuff go. Like it is.
Oh, I know.
Like a lot of times I'm wrestling people for it. Like even now, and it's not because I don't trust them, or it's not because I don't feel like I trained them well, or if they were trained by someone else that I don't feel like they did a good job. Like there's that fear still of letting stuff completely go, kind of like the first time your kid rides a bike, without you, or the first time they're out doing a sport and you're just sitting there, I hope they do well. And you have to keep your mouth shut because otherwise you're one of those helicopter moms that, oh, yay. But yeah, it is super hard to let go. And I struggle with it still now. And to the point where people say, it's okay, we got it.
Yeah. It's your business, right? You're the best at your own business. Right. So when it comes to, allowing other people to do different duties and tasks, it is tough to give that up for sure. This has been super awesome, Amy. Like this conversation's been amazing. I really love what you're doing. You're absolutely crushing it. So do you have any last tips or tricks that you would recommend for somebody who's just getting started? Like, let's rewind back to 2001 and Amy's getting ready to get into real estate. But it's 2021. What would you say to Amy in 2021 who's just getting started?
Honestly, you have so much opportunity now that it was so much harder, and I know every person says that, oh, back in the day, it was so much harder. But you literally have the world at your fingertips with Google and all of these tools that we have available to us. I know, right? Especially this, we carry around a business in a box, right? And so
that was a phone, by the way. I held up my phone to the camera for those of you listening.
I did too, because it's just incredible the things that you can do with that. But the best advice, if I had to do it all over again, is I would really spend some time understanding how people work, like really get into the emotional intelligence type issues and the psychology of things, not because you necessarily need it every day in your real estate business, but you'll be surprised how many opportunities will open up to you that maybe you wouldn't have seen if you didn't really understand what makes people tick. Because we all tick the same way, but it took me a long, long time to figure out how people, would respond to things that I said. And I'm not always known for the, cleanest, clearest speech. I think I've done pretty good today. I don't think I dropped any F-bombs or anything today, but
no, but pretty good.
I think I did. Anyway, but yeah, that would be the best advice. I would just be every day you need to keep learning, keep reading, even if it's YouTube University, like every day do something to expand your knowledge about real estate, because it'll sit in there and it will come out when you need it. It just will. And then don't be so hard on yourself. Like Rome was not built in a day. I did not get this business overnight. This took 20 years of, constantly just putting in the time and making mistakes that, I probably wouldn't make again if I had, more resources. But I was stubborn as well. I didn't want to give it up. So that probably was at least 5 years in there while I fought it. But yeah, I think you have great opportunity. Buy a course, any course, and do it. That would be the best advice. And then just keep learning every day and keep taking that step forward and do the things that scare you the most. Get in that airplane.
So you're saying to buy a course?
I am, but my better advice was, but do it then.
Yes.
Like just do it. And I think whatever course you buy from whomever, you buy it from, there's something in there that will help you. Even the worst course on the planet will have some little diamond in there that speaks to you. But too many people buy the courses, take 20 minutes and go through a couple of videos, decide it's not for them, and then throw it away. Don't do that. Buy one, go through the whole thing, go through it twice, then make your decision about whether or not you like it, don't like it, you like what that person has to say, you don't like it. I just feel like if I had that, I probably would have saved myself a ton of money, like just of trial and error. And so
learn from others' mistakes.
Absolutely. And if you want all the mistakes I made, I could give you a litany of them that we want to avoid. But really, it's just learn from what other people have done and keep accelerating yourself on that kind of foundation of what people have already done. Because and ask for help. I never asked for help. I wish I would have, because now I ask for help all the time. And so it's great.
That's awesome. Really, really great advice there at the end for sure. And I think the key thing that you said is, educate yourself. You need to make sure you understand what you're getting into. And one of the things I like to say too, especially because I'm also a newer real estate investor too. And I think one of the big things people get lost in, especially the newbies, is comparing yourself to others. Like, don't do that. That. You need to learn and keep moving at the pace that works for you. Right. So
absolutely.
And it kind of ties back into what we talked about earlier about real estate investing as a hobby versus a business. Right. So even if it's just your side hustle for now and it's just a hobby, still educate yourself the best that you can before you really get started. Like for me, I listen to podcasts. I listen to a ton of podcasts, and then of course create my own. And one of the beautiful things, and I will say that this is one of the things I'm selfish about, is when I get to have guests like you on, and I get to pick your brain and learn as much as I can from you. This has been one of the funnest things that I've been able to do as a podcast host, especially when I bring like successful real estate investors on and they can share their story. And Amy, you've got a story. So
thank you.
Really appreciate that. And so I do have one more question for you. And this is going to be for the folks that want to know a little bit more about you. Do you have a website or social media that you can share with our listeners?
I do. Absolutely. They can go to amyfarrow.com. And that will give you all the links to Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and all that fun stuff.
Well, that's easy. There we go. We'll make it simple.
Try to make it as easy as possible.
We'll put it in the show notes for those of you that don't want to write it down and you just want to copy and paste and click. But if you're listening in your car, don't try to do that while you're driving, please. And thank you. So, hey, Amy, again, super thankful for you taking some time out of your day to have a chat with me. I really appreciate it. Thanks for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me. I had a lot of fun.